this.
Yeah, Deborah, what do you think about it? Gun control is a big issue for you.
Yes, well, simply put, as a mom, I see whoever has the gun, you're in control. And the way to stop a bad guy with a gun is to have the good guy with a gun. And I might add,
good gal.
a good gal, that's right. Yes, and what concerns me is how lawlessness is increasing in the land. And as a result, the love of many is growing cold. That's concerning. And I see it from a perspective that we have a spiritual problem in America.
Yeah.
We need to come back to God because He is ready and willing, and He alone, Jesus Christ, is able to heal this land.
She's also a minister, and you're saying amen to that. You agree with her?
I am saying amen to that. Yes, I do agree with that. And my condolences and prayers goes out to the families that have lost loved ones, especially the police officers. And I also say that the Bible says, greater love hath no man, that He laid down His life for a friend, and they laid down their lives for our friends.
Well, Courtney, let's go to that, the 5 who laid down their lives. What do you think about the way the police have been treated by certain individuals lately?
Well, I mean, even in a time of mourning, when we would expect nothing but a message of hope and leadership from our president, it turned into a political divisive conversation. I think at one point he mentioned saying everyone is a racist. He also touched upon gun control. So it was really disappointing to see that happen. It was great to see President Bush, but disappointed.
Well, Kathy kind of touched on that. We were talking during the commercial, and you said the Democratic Party especially has a false narrative about the Black community. Will you elaborate?
You know, I mean, and it is a very, it's a very sensitive subject to have in our culture today because we're ruled by emotions in so many regards. But as a Black woman, clearly, with Black children, a Black husband from a Black family, obviously Black lives matter to me, right? And I'm sure it matters to everyone in this room right now as well. But that's not the narrative that the Black Lives Matter movement and many in the Democratic Party is espousing. Instead, they are pushing a false narrative, I believe, that Black people are victims and that our primary issue in the Black community surrounds social issues and racism. And that is, and those two things, racism and social justice issues, are not what's plaguing and destroying the Black community. It is the breakdown of families within the Black community. When you have 75% of Black children growing up in a fatherless home, that's 3 out of 4. That is the reason. Even Obama himself quoted it, that a child growing up without a father is 20% more likely to end up in prison. Not the 4% of police officers who have in 2015 who shot a Black person who was unarmed. Not the 4%, but it's 20% more likely to end up in prison. Not because of a white police officer, but because of the breakdown of the home.
When you talked about justice, you're a legal professional, Beth. You're in the court most days. Is this just a law and order issue? Is the system breaking down? What's your observation?
Well, I think it's both. And my biggest concern, well, first of all, I'm very saddened for the events that have happened over the last week. Obviously, like all of us are, our whole country is mourning. And basically, I'm concerned about the views that our nation as a whole has right now on the sanctity of life. I don't believe it's a Democratic issue, and I don't believe it's a Republican issue. I believe that it's a human life issue. I personally believe that we're all created in the image of God, and it doesn't matter what color our skin is. It just doesn't matter. We're all created in God's image, and we're all equal. And I believe that the violence that has, erupted across this country, there's some real issues here. And we need leadership, and we need an administration that is going to, first of all, identify those issues, a lot of them what my good friend now, Kathy, has just said, and also that they're going to have real solutions, and we'll be able to implement those solutions as we move forward.
We would really expect the president to be condemning Black Lives Matter.
Yes, because what happened, what happened in Dallas, it was not an attack against the law enforcement profession. It was an attack against all Americans. And we need to look at it from that perspective. I was just reading to my children a quote from John Adams, who said, our Constitution, our way of life, America, is only made for moral and religious people who understand the difference between right and wrong, good and bad. And so when we have people trying to make up laws as they go with their pen and their phone, or when they're out here promoting and encouraging tyranny on the streets. We are destroying America. America does not exist without the Constitution and without laws.
He validates, the president validates that domestic terrorist group, quite frankly, because they're using violence, you know, to have political, ideological, religious gains.
I want to find out, I know that's a big issue for when people are going to the polls, terrorism, keeping our country safe. Who are you going to vote for? Who's going to vote for Donald Trump?
Still voting.
Wow.
You know, they say that great is the nation that fears the Lord, and I am such a believer in that. But also, we need someone who's going to make America great again, and I'm looking forward to
So
that.
what's the number one issue for November? Is it national security? Is it economics?
I believe it's national security and
Security.
safety.
I wonder if you could separate the two. I believe we have to really look after them.
It's interesting, when we asked you guys to come on, we were looking for moms, that security was their number one concern. We never asked you guys who you were voting for. And I believe last week or 2 weeks ago when we interviewed you,
We have a couple of
Yes, right on the spot.
Yes,
we
and
did.
you're right now. People need to realize people are angry, and like Donald Trump or not, he is he resonates.
thank you, ladies.
Very
Always great to
powerful.
see
Thank you, ladies.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Donald Trump has said